Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. This is GardenFork Radio. It's eclectic DIY. I'm your host, Eric. I have this podcast and a YouTube channel called GardenFork. It's me and my friends talking about what we think are hopefully interesting things. Today, we're talking about no, your phone is not listening to you. It just knows everything about you anyway. With our security expert, Rick Kennerly. Welcome, sir.
Oh, now, yeah, that's way over the top. You know, an X is a has-been, a spurt's a drip under pressure.
Well, you're the closest thing we have to like an Intel. I mean, when you were in the military, you were in some sort of intelligence unit that you can't speak about, you know?
Well, I can tell almost everything there is to know about it because everything that we used to do is so outdated, people snicker when I tell them. That's the reason I don't tell them anymore.
So on that Japanese mountaintop with 10 feet of snow was all for naught? Is that?
Well, no, it was good for the 70s and early 80s, but things have really progressed since then. People's understanding of metadata particularly has not. And so I guess we'll move forward from there. We started this conversation because of a tweet that Eric sent me. And you kind of want to do a press of it there, Eric?
Right. So I was on Facebook, which I really don't like these days, but GardenFork is there. And we can talk more about that after this. But one of my friends posted from Twitter a conversation, a series of comments by Robert G. Reeve. It's a full name in Twitter, all one word, Robert G. Reeve, and Reeve. And he's a technology expert guy and talking about he went to his mom's house for a week and then he came back and now he's getting ads for the toothpaste that she uses at her house on Twitter and on his phone and things. And he is a privacy tech worker. And he's like, your social media apps are not listening to you. This is a conspiracy theory. It's been debunked over and over. But frankly, they don't need to because everything else you've given them unthinkingly is way cheaper and way more powerful. And he goes on, I'll link to this and I'll put it in the show notes of the web version of this, our website version. And I'll link to it in the show notes of the iTunes version. But he just lays out how we are just giving away all sorts of information about ourselves for free. And I find that troubling.
Well, so do I. And so have I for a long time. The more I think about it, unfortunately, I went in whole hog on the internet stuff. And I also opted early on for just complete transparency. You know, yes. I wasn't going to have pseudonyms. I wasn't going to hide my identity. I thought that was kind of the coward's way to do this and less than forthright. I have come to change my mind. I get a snicker at the people that talk about certain vaccines having a tracking chip implanted in them. We have all been wearing a tracking chip on our belt or in our purses for almost over a decade now.
Yep.
It knows your GPS location. It knows what Wi-Fi signals you pass by each day. It knows what Bluetooth signals you have seen. It's seen around you as you walk past. The other day when I walked into the mall and I walked past the Apple store, my Apple Watch actually buzzed at me and said, "Hello, Rick. Are you coming in today?"
Wow.
And it was a Bluetooth beacon that was, you know, because I had bought Apple stuff and I was signed up and they knew who I was when I walked by. The Bluetooth beacon detected me and sent me a message, says, "Hi, Rick." So that is, you know, that's almost, what was that Tom Cruise movie about the future and the seers? I forget what it was, but where
he sees crimes that have yet to happen.
Yeah. And he walks by stores and they scan his retina and by that retinal scan, they show him ads of things he might be interested in. So he has to get his eyes replaced. But that's a little far-fetched in the future. But that kind of thing is happening all the time. People are always concerned about the text of what they send, and securing that and keeping that private. And that is, I can tell you from a signals intelligence standpoint, absolutely worthless information anyway. Nobody wants to know what you're thinking. They want to know what you're doing. They want to
Wow.
know who your contacts are, and they can tell that from your phone. Who do you associate with? Even if the person's not in your contacts, they can triangulate through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and your GPS who is in close contact. And this information is being stored by the phone companies now because of the law, but it's accessible to the government anytime you want, or they want. And all this information is being stored. And so sometime in the future, you may be contacted to verify or to explain yourself because for 6 months you stopped at the Dunkin' Donut and had a coffee and a donut every morning. And in that same Dunkin' Donut was some terrorist that they were interested in.
Oh,
And
wow.
it could be you both just happened to like Dunkin' Donuts and coffee, and you both had day jobs, and you showed up about 7:30 in the morning, and you stayed for 15 minutes, and it looks like a pattern. And all of a sudden, you're going to be called on to explain yourself 6 months in the past.
Yeah.
I find that thing kind of disturbing. Uh, we were talking about military service. We never, most of the military traffic, one way to hide your traffic, good traffic, the intentional traffic, is to keep, I bumped the mic, didn't I?
Yeah, that's okay.
Is to keep a constant flow of traffic up. And so the people we were tracking used practice pads. It was Morse code, da 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 da. And they used these practice pads, 5 random characters, a space, 5 more random characters, 20 to a line, and it just goes on and on and on. It's useless. It's good practice for the operators. And then they insert messages in between there that they hoping will avoid us, but those are encrypted too, and so we really don't know much about them. But what we learned is, we actually demonstrated this recently in China. I'm sure you follow the China business like I do very closely, and we had 2 Navy P3s and a P8 kind of make a run at the Chinese coast.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we had a high flyer, maybe an SR-71 or a U-2, I don't know what it was, go over the top of China. And then we just watched to see what lights up.
Ah,
And all of a sudden, gun emplacements light up with radar, radio signals begin lighting up. We can't really tap into fiber optics, but usually fiber optics has some sort of a radio link, a microwave link. And so you're looking at those, and you learn the order of battle, the who lights up, who reports to who reports back down. When I was of course, I was in the Army before I was in the Navy. And in the Army, my specialty was Mongolia. And, or at least when I was in Japan, my specialty was Mongolia. And Mongolia is pretty useless, really, in a lot of ways. Beautiful country, I think. But it is absolutely the best tank ground in the world. And at the time, back in the 70s and 80s, the Russians and the Chinese were not getting along. And so they would play these games of the Russians would run their tanks right up to the edge of Mongolia, and the Mongolian security forces would go bananas, and their information would signals would go up, and we'd track from who to who to who to who to who, and then orders would come down, and they'd come down in the opposite direction, and so we could learn the order of battle for any military organization just by watching the who reports to who signals who passes information from which stations.
So,
And then, yeah, go ahead.
so this is being basically applied to everyday people now.
Oh, yeah, except it's much more sophisticated. Your Apple phone, because Apple really is concerned about your privacy, only reports home about 200 times a day. Reports in on who you've contacted, what places you've walked by, what Wi-Fi's it's seen in your travels, what Bluetooth it's seen,
Right.
Your geolocations, when you used your credit card and where, that kind of thing. The freer or more inexpensive phones like the Androids are reporting home in the order of like 1,000 times a day, even more granular detail all the time. And so they don't have to know anything about what you're saying, what you're buying, who you're whispering to. All they need to know is all this metadata that people consider unimportant.
Yep.
That is attached to two things, mostly your cell phone number now and your primary email address. And you give those two things out to almost everyone because they demand them to get an account, and you think nothing of it.
So let's just open up the GardenFork Patreon app and see what is in here. Oh, the first thing here are some pictures of Andy and Spike on the stoop I took this morning. And then over the weekend, I posted pictures of the finished canoe. Yes, it is done. It is, I won't say whether it's water-worthy or not. I'll save that for the video. But this is the kind of thing that I share with patrons that I don't, less and less, I don't post to Instagram and Facebook because, it's a loaded thing, those guys. So I just thought if you were interested in supporting the show, supporting the videos and the podcast, if you were thinking about $5 a month, it's like a fancy cup of coffee a month for the behind the scenes stuff. Sometimes I post every day for a week. If I'm not really working on anything, I don't always post pictures. And you have this kind of like mainline direct thing to me because you can message me in the app. You also get a custom email address, my private email address, to reach out to me as well. So you want to think about that? That'd be cool. If you don't have the money, do not give me money, okay? I have a roof over my head. I have food in the refrigerator, all right? But if you do have enough for a fancy cup of coffee, maybe thinking about supporting GardenFork. The links to that are in the show notes here. You can also go to Patreon. It's patreon.com/GardenFork. All right, thank you. Yeah, the Starlink thing for me the other day was I am not a fan of Facebook. I see in my social groups a lot of bad information and angry people being mean to other people, and stuff that you wouldn't say in person that yet you say it online. And I don't know if you can police that. But anyway, I had to. Facebook is forcing me, I'm going to try to figure out a way around it maybe, they're saying it's another way to verify I am the owner of the GardenFork Facebook page, not the group, the page. And to do so, I have to load the Facebook app onto my phone, and they will send a confirmation signal to my phone through the Facebook app to confirm that. And I'm like, why do you need to use my phone? Because they probably have my cell phone number, but I've been struggling hard not to. Every time they go, be even safer, give us your cell phone number. And I'm like, nah, not really. But yeah. So therefore, I don't know if the word is forcing. There might be a way to work around it. I'll have to look, but I might just leave Facebook. I'm like, that's it.
Well, that's what I have done. Facebook will not let you leave for 30 days. You can delete your account, and they make you wait 30 days. So in case you change your mind, what they're hoping is that you're so addicted to the information that you and the interactions that you won't leave in the end. I'm in my probably about the third week of my 30-day period of deleting my Facebook account. The reason they want your phone is not for the number. They want all the, on the back, on the inside of your phone, or when you set up a new phone, you got those MMNEI numbers and all that. Those are specific to your phone and your SIM card.
Mm-hmm.
And so your best bet is to buy a burner phone for cash and get a Mint card, SIM card. I think they're like $9. And activate that number and give that to Facebook as your telephone number, and then just throw the SIM card away. They'll probably never use it again. They just want to try to identify you in every place you go to a more granular level, because if all they're seeing is what you're on at the house with your real computer or your desktop computer, that's not good for them. They want to know where you're going, who you're being with, what you're buying,
yep.
How long you're there, all that stuff, which adds up to a beautiful profile of how to sell you more stuff. This is not nefarious. This is all about selling you something.
Right. The other problem I see is this has been going on for years with websites, but if you want to join a site, it could be a Facebook kind of site or discussion groups or even shopping. They'll be like, give us access to your phone contact list in your phone or your desktop, and we'll invite all your friends. And they're data mining all your friends then. So my friends have given up all my contact information to sites without even my consent.
Right.
Which just bugs me.
Well, sure. And on the other side, you're giving up all your friends. It's just connecting the points. I used to tell people that if you gave me the traffic from two cell phones, towers that overlapped each other over something of interest, say maybe a gun shop or a gun range, even people who were not friends, you could tell who was there at the same time you were there, how long they were there when they left, all that stuff. And then from those telephone numbers, working backwards, establish all of their friends, all of their relations, where their family is, who their family are, all of that, just from overlapping cell phone signals. Now it's completely out of control.
The Twitter stream from Robert does say that Apple's latest updates let you block apps tracking, and Facebook is mad. They're begging you just to press accept and go back to business as usual. Block out every app's ads. It's not just about you. Your data reshapes the internet. So, I mean, Apple maybe isn't as guilty as some of the other places. Yes, they are getting some information, but they do allow you to turn off the apps having access. Does that turn off also allow them to block access to your SIM card with those numbers you talked about?
I don't know the answer to that, but I suspect.
Wait, you're the GardenFork security expert, Rick.
Well, no one's asked. This is all brand new in iOS 15, which just came out this week, and so there are a lot of unanswered questions about some of these things. What they have done, though, which I have been very busy doing, is I have one email address that I've used for almost a decade now, rhkennerly@gmail.com. I can say that because by the time you folks hear this, it will be gone. And that email address has been sold and stolen in several high-profile
data breaches. And
so now I'm getting people sending me emails saying, hi, Bill. Did you ever unlock your credit score so that we could check on getting you into this new luxury whatever?
Yeah.
And if someone is out there shopping using my email address and my cell phone number and trying to get into my accounts. Luckily, way back when, I shut down all of my credit union, you could lock down your credit reports.
Yes.
With TransUnion and who are the others?
Experian and there's another one.
There are three of them, three big ones, and you can lock that down so that no one can pull a credit report on you. And if they can't pull a credit report, they can't open a line of credit. And so I'm not worried about these people doing these things on my account because they're not going to be able to damage my credit record. But I'm getting really tired of it. And what Apple has done, if you're on a paid subscription for iCloud, which actually I got it because we've been watching a lot of Apple TV. Have you seen the new Foundation, the Isaac Asimov Foundation trilogies coming on Apple?
We just signed up for Apple Plus on the Apple TV, and I saw that and thought of you. So it's the science fiction super duper series that everyone said was unfilmable.
Right, and they're doing a good job. I read the trilogy. I haven't read. There were like 8 books. Some of them were prequels. Some of them were afterward. And I haven't read them all, but I read the original trilogy. And I mean, given the fact that it was written between like 42 and 50, the 3 books in the trilogy, they're doing a really good job of updating it but staying true to the themes and issues by and large, I think. Okay. But anyway, it's wonderful. But there's also another Apple Plus, Tehran, which is a great spy thriller, and Greyhound with Tom Hanks, a World War II story. Yeah.
So before this tangent, you were saying
going on, before we go too far. But if you have an Apple subscription, you can get this iCloud addition to it, and it gives you the opportunity to hide my email, and it creates a unique email address tied to your Apple account. And so like for the Atlantic magazine, I have one called omelets-kneecaps.0h at iCloud.com. And I can say that out loud because not only you give that to them for your subscription,
right,
but it's tied to them. If they sell that email account to someone else and it comes from a different IP address, it's not going to work.
Interesting.
And so it kills the replication of these email accounts going around. And I've got close to maybe 100, 150 of those individual accounts. You can also set up an alias account.
Yes.
And I have one that has a prefix and then has SUB for subscriptions.icloud.com. And I give that to everything I subscribe to. And so if they ever sell that account, it's tied to my regular account. At least I can just kill that one subscription account and start over with a different one.
Interesting. So what do you think about Proton Mail, the company that has Proton Mail?
I like Proton Mail. And if you're not doing anything, in fact, I have a paid Proton Mail account. But here's the thing: if you want to hide, all email goes through 3 ports, unencrypted email, 25, 442 or 443, and 110 or something. I forget what they are, but they have to be unencrypted to go through those ports. Well, that's everybody. Yahoo, Gmail, everyone in the world is forcing their email through those individual ports, and essentially it's like trying to drink from multiple fire hoses.
Right.
Encrypted email goes through just a few ports that are separate from those, and that causes them to stand out in the flow of traffic because they're the only ones going through those ports. And so you're more likely to be noticed if you don't want to be noticed using an encrypted email system.
Oh, okay.
So But I like Proton Mail. The other thing we were talking about how it's the metadata that gets you, not what you say.
Right.
You can encrypt your Proton Mail, and that's good. So they can't read what's in the message. But the header, who you're talking with, is unencrypted.
Oh.
And so you're still giving away that metadata about who you're talking to, that there's a relationship between you and this other person.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, it's a quandary for me because I could actually make a bunch of coin on Facebook. I've been urged to repurpose my YouTube videos, which is a whole nother. I'm in bed with YouTube, and I admit that. But I can repurpose my videos to make them Facebook friendly, and I could monetize the page, and it just. But I want to sleep at night knowing. I mean, I don't know. I don't like Facebook a lot, so I'm like, why do I participate in it and put my videos there? So that's my quandary. Is
Right.
I could get a larger audience, but I'm putting videos there to enable Facebook to make people spend more time on Facebook, and I'm being paid to
Right.
do it
And the thing is, if Facebook were acting not even
responsibly.
social, yeah, I was going to say not even socially consciously, but just responsibly, ethically. There have been all these issues that come to light. Of course, Miss Huygen, I think her name was, that the whistleblower
Yes.
um, has highlighted it, but it's come out in several places, causing particularly Instagram and WhatsApp, when girls having body issues and feeling like they're overweight and ugly, and that junior high school is rough enough without being compared not only to your high school but being compared to every other woman in the world,
Right.
and to just to claim it's not happening and that they're not responsible for this increase in problems is irresponsible, and I'm just not going to subsidize it. I miss it. It was hard at first to ditch Facebook, but it's now that I've been away from it for 3 weeks, I am not missing it at all. I do miss some of my friends. I'm trying to figure out something else to where we could gather, but it's not going to be Facebook. I'm not going to subsidize that.
Yeah, interesting. I'm on it a couple times a week, and I don't spend a lot of time on there on purpose. But it was the only way I found out that a extended family member had passed away from the coronavirus, because no one
A
told
close
me by
family.
email or
Yeah.
text or phone. It was someone who was married into my family, and I
Yeah.
saw him a couple times. Every couple of years I would see him at a gathering, but I was just like, wow, that's interesting how other members of my family use Facebook as their main way of disseminating information, that they don't follow up with anything else.
Right. Of course, there is a way to do this. Are you familiar with the concept of a sock puppet?
No, but sock puppets freak me out.
The real ones?
The
You were
data
not a fan.
gatherers just learned that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say like Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chops and the sock puppet. You're too young
Oh,
to remember.
I found
Yeah.
that weird.
Yeah. But, I there are good guides online for creating a sock puppet. That is not you, can't be tied to you, that you just tie into your family on Facebook with. And that's one way to stay in, but it's, you have to be careful not to use it for anything else that will tie it to any of your other accounts. And so we're back to actually creating pseudonyms and fake identities to be safe on the internet. And frankly, I wished I had not been so
Transparent.
open,
Yeah,
transparent
me
on
too.
the internet. I am busy with for the last several days, that's pretty much all I've done is lock down every account, knock down every account that I'm not participating in. I've shut it down. I am probably going to see if I can't buy an used Android phone for cash, put a new SIM card in it, and start using that telephone number as my primary number for Facebook, for internet things. It turns out you cannot use Google VoIP numbers for a lot of things. They actually block those, and so you need a real telephone number from a carrier. So
if you have to verify something by phone, you can't use your Google Voice phone number.
Right.
Yeah. So
it depends on the where you're visiting or buying something, but generally they're blocking the VoIP numbers more and more.
Hey, would you like more of GardenFork or more of Eric? Would you like to get it in your email inbox? I send out, just about every week, I send out a little email about Eric's World and new stuff I posted. I even talk about podcasts I've listened to or just interesting stuff. And usually, almost always, at least one picture of the Labradors, Henry and Charlie. You can get that by signing up for Eric's GardenFork email newsletter thing. There should be a link in the notes to this show. Just scroll down to the description of the podcast in your app, and I hope it's a clickable link. It should be. Or go to gardenfork.tv, and on almost every page at the top of the page should be a sign up. If you're on a mobile device, you might have to tap on there's a little menu bar, and then hopefully there it'll be a sign up, or scroll the bottom of a post and you can sign up there. Or just send an email to news@gardenfork.tv and you'll get a link to sign up. But should be a link in the app here. More of Eric. It would be fun to have you along for the ride. It's kind of more brain dump Eric. Cool stuff. All right. So does using the Firefox browser and the Firefox VPN, and by extension, the Electronic Frontier Foundation plugins like Privacy Badger, does that at least kind of dull the amount of information? Is that the right word? Dial back the amount of information you're just, displaying everywhere?
Sure. And that's one of the things I've done. I have bought in. I send $10 a month to Firefox as a donation.
Yep.
Just it's free. You can buy. You don't have to pay anything. But I do it because I want them to keep doing their work. You get Firefox. In the Firefox settings, at the bottom for internet on the first page, there is a place to go set ODNS, and I forget what the O stands for, but essentially it encrypts your DNS request. So when I say GardenFork, that doesn't mean anything to the internet. You're actually 113.16.1250. This long IP number, and that translates. But so your service provider, if you've got Verizon or Cox or whoever, can see, even if you're using a secure socket, an HTTPS,
right?
They can see where, because that DNS request is transmitted in the open, they can see what you're looking for, even if they can't tell what you're actually, or where you're going, even if they can't tell what you're looking for.
Right.
The ODNS on Firefox sends an encrypted request to, in this case, Cloudflare, and they return back the proper IP address for GardenFork. And my IPS, even at the IPS level, they're cut out of what I'm doing. And then, of course, I use HTTPS everywhere, and all the Privacy Badger and stuff from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which you should support with a little bit of cash now and then as well.
And their VPN is $5 a month.
Right.
And it works really well.
Yeah. And that protects your entire system, your one computer or where it's installed. But what it does, eventually it ages the data. Data is only good if it's fresh. And when they have data on you from 6 months ago, that's essentially dead data. They don't know anything about you anymore. So the sooner you start hiding your traffic, your shopping, your where you go, your identity, the sooner that data will age out and be more useless to the people buying it.
Yeah, the Mozilla Virtual Private Network, for the $5 a month, you can connect 5 of your devices: your desktop, your laptop, your phone, and your iPad. What's that? Is that 4 or 5? But anyway, it's $5 not per device. It's $5 up to 5 devices. So I found that very handy. So
Right. And, to shake things up even more, I don't use the Mozilla VPN. I use Nord VPN. And so I try to divide my traffic between as many different providers as possible. But I think the Mozilla VPN is a superb one. They have a great track record, and I'm all for it. Do you use a password vault of some sort?
yes, yeah, I did that recently. I
Which one did you
use
get?
1Password.
Right, that's the one I've been using.
And it's works really well. It allows you to have a emergency bailout, not bailout, it
Recovery.
recovery. And I basically, it allows you to print out this page with these very secret numbers to rescue your account. And I put 2 people that I trust have that information, and it's a piece of paper. I didn't email it to anybody. It's very interesting how they make you print it out. They don't say,
Right.
here, email this stuff to somebody. And so those 2 people, like if I lose my phone and my house burns down, I can go to my best friend's house and go, I need that piece of paper.
Right.
And I get all my
And
passwords back.
the other thing about a password manager, which I think is great, is she who must be obeyed has many wonderful attributes. One of them is not computers, and
Careful.
by using 1Password, I can be as sophisticated in my password usage and all these things as I want to be. And since we share that 1Password account, it's on her computer as well. She can still log into everything, and I don't have to worry about making a long list for her and saying, if this happens, do this, and if that happens, do this other thing.
Right.
It's all inside the 1Password. And so, and when I'm forced to change an email address or a password or something, it changes it for her so that I don't have to keep her updated on that. And so it's really good for family things. You can never be perfectly secure, but you can be reasonably secure.
Yeah. All right, so let's switch something a little more upbeat.
Well, this is a wonderful topic.
Let's see if anyone has written a review. No.
Oh, well, that's not upbeat at all.
I did get the gentleman who owns the coffee shop that we go to. We go to Sunset Park. See, the data people know I live in Sunset Park now. There's a dog run in the middle of the park. It's a big open field. And then we walk over to the little coffee place and we get the camera operator a coffee. And sometimes we sit outside. And Herman and Patricia, their brother and sister, own the coffee shop. But anyway, Herman and I have been starting to talk about art, and I told him I had a podcast, and so he listens to the podcast.
Oh.
And he didn't say anything about you, Rick, but he said that he likes listening to Nicole talk, and she has a very nice laugh. So.
Oh. Well, I'll work harder on my laugh. Maybe I can attract his attention.
So Herman said, "Oh, I've been listening to the podcast in my studio. He's going to be on the show, and we're going to talk about art."
Well, Herman, I love you like a brother anyway.
I've had this conversation more than once with people. I'll be like, oh, I'm going to go to this gallery or this museum, whatever. And they're like, I don't understand art. I don't know what I'm supposed to like. And the short answer is you like whatever you like. And it's not anyone else telling you what to like. You either like it or you don't. And that's
Right.
it.
And the more you know, I think the more you appreciate. I will never get painting. I'm a little colorblind, and it just doesn't speak to me. What I love is sculpture. I love walking around sculpture, watching the light play on it, um, looking at it from different angles, thinking about uh, how it was constructed. At the Chrysler Museum here, there is this sculpture that it's impressive. I mean, it's huge. It's a horse equestrian statue of a very young, virile, big guy on the horse, reaching down to this old man on the ground who's passing the torch to him. And so the old man's race has been run. Here's the new generation taking over. But one of the things that's most amazing about this sculpture is when it was done, one of the most unusual and expensive elements available was aluminum. And this aluminum sculpture is made out of aluminum. It was, at the time, it was a very forward-thinking and expensive project to do that. In fact, did you know the top of the Washington Monument has a 9 by 9 inch square by 9 inch tall pyramid of aluminum? It was the most precious metal they could find to put on top of the Washington Monument.
Yeah, well, the Trilateral Commission did that. You know that. And that's how that beacon controls everything in our
Ah,
world. They control the government from the top of that monument with that aluminum pyramid, you
yeah.
know.
If they're controlling the government, they're doing a damn shitty job of it. Oh, I can't say that, can I?
That's okay. That's
Uh,
better than what we had to bleep you about the last time. Oh, you guys didn't hear that? Well, in the Patreon, the after show, Patreon, we do a little 10 minutes of just talking for the GardenFork patrons, and Rick went off script.
a
So I
little
had to
bit.
bleep him. I'll play that as like a teaser so people want to sign up and become a supporter. That actually dovetails, and I've said that in the promos I've recorded about becoming a patron, is um, there are weeks where I will share something every day with the GardenFork patrons through the Patron app, and I'm really uncomfortable sharing a lot of stuff with. I don't even use Twitter anymore, but on Instagram or Facebook, and I just feel much more comfortable with this core group and like, hey, here's a picture of the pups, or hey, I was out doing this interesting thing, or here's my thought on this. So if you want more of the world of Eric, information is in the show notes or patreon.com/gardenfork. So
Actually, there's a pretty nice community there, and they're all like-minded individuals, and it's a lot of fun. I just saw here that William Shatner is in space now.
oh, that's right. He went up in the Blue Origin.
Yeah, I just saw that he actually made it into space, and so that's pretty good.
My friend went to the Star Trek exhibit hall in Fort Ticonderoga, New York, upstate New York, with this guy and his friends recreated the television set of the original Star Trek show from the Desilu Studios, and it's now a tourist attraction. And the alive main characters of the show go up there and do appearances. And so
Oh,
my friend
really?
hung out with George Takai, Mr. Sulu,
Yeah.
who is actually a force for good on Twitter. He has, I don't know if he publicly came out himself on there, but he's been very supportive of people who are not, white heterosexual men,
Right.
basically, you
Yeah.
know. So he's a great guy. I really am inspired by Mr. Takai, so good for him. But anyway, that's aside. All right, so we are done. We both have to go do things.
Yeah. Are we going to do a quick after show?
Yes, but I just got to get you to stop talking so I can hit the stop button.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to, on the after show, talk about one experiment I've been doing on social media that is not any of the big names. It's working out quite well. So if you want to hear about that, come on over to the after show and we'll tell you all about it.
When you said experiment, I thought you were going to say medical experiment. All right, everyone.
Not exactly.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week.
Talk to you later, my friend. Bye-bye.
GardenFork Radio is produced by GardenFork Media, LLC in Brooklyn, New York. Our producer is Sean O'Neill. If you need an amazing podcast producer, visit Sean's site, SeanInBrooklyn.com. That's Sean, SEAN, in Brooklyn.com. Our executive producer is Jimmy Goose. For more information about Jimmy and the custom hollow books he makes, visit hollowbooks.com. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.